Okay, everyone, we're not messing around for this class. I gotta turn this down a smidgen. Okay, I hope you guys have my booty class playlist bumping. You're gonna need your bands. Hopefully you came warmed up because it's gonna be a speedy little warm up. We're gonna inhale, come down into our squat, exhale, come back up. So today is a booty class. I know you guys love them. I love to deliver them. We're a great pair. So what we're going to be focusing on today is the fact that I notice a very strong correlation between my patients. Just pay attention to my form here. I'm coming down center of mass onto foot tripod, pushing my feet into the ground, and I'm pushing my hips up towards the ceiling. So anyhow, I have a lot of patients with low back pain who love booty classes. And lo and behold, it will flare up their low back pain. And the reason for this is we want to disassociate hip extension, so my hip is moving away from me, and back extension. If you're thinking, that looks very different, hold on. When I come down even to a squat, here my hips are flexed. They're bent, I can squish my hands here. I straighten, that's hip extension. Now let's say I do more of a back accentuated. I'm rounding through my low back, and now my chest is coming up. And I'm holding this kind of arched position. People tend to be quite strong through your back extensors. So if they're not thinking about it, this becomes very easy to just pound out a bunch of squats. If you really check in with yourself and you hold right before you finish your rep, you might notice, okay, I got a lot of tension all the way up my low back into my neck. So our goal here, rib cage over pelvis. We're gonna inhale and lower our hips down and back. You're in the woods, you gotta pee in the woods. That's what we're looking at. We're peeing in the woods. We don't wanna get pee on our pants, and we're pushing, we're coming back up. If you're a male taking this class, this doesn't apply to you because we all know you have appendages to help with this problem. But for females, we gotta get down, we wanna avoid the pants, push our feet into the ground, stand back up. So as you press up, all of you should be feeling this through your legs and through your bum. If you're not, or if you're like, this is so easy, I want you to really slow it down. Stop at the very bottom of the rep, hold here. What do you feel working the hardest? Push through your feet, come back up, stop just before the rep finishes, and you should feel it all through bum and hamstrings and your quads. Good. Okay, so that's our first focus on lumbar extension, hip extension. The next thing we're gonna go through is your hip hinge pattern. So my hips are gonna shoot back. I'm in a hip flexed position. And from here, put your hands on your pelvis and just feel what happens if you tuck your tailbone underneath you. We are pushing our hips forward. That is full lower body posterior chain workout. So that's glutes and hamstrings. Rotate, come up. Here, if I flex my lumbar spine and lower my chest like this, and then I come up through my chest, I have worked my lower back brilliantly. So this is why we hammer this into you guys. Hips go back, tension in my hamstrings. I focus on contracting that tension. So it's more of a pelvic tilt coming up, like a hip thrust. All right, speed it up. We're gonna do 5 here. My center of mass is staying over my midfoot. I'm creating tension, pushing my hip bones away from my knees. Perfect. Hopefully you're warmed up. Hopefully you know the lowdown for our standing movements where we're trying to focus on our hip extension. We're gonna start on our hands and knees. And we'll talk about the next position because I know everybody freaking loves this movement. And watch my low back when this happens. So what do we think I'm working out right now? I am working out my leg a little bit, but I'm also working out my back quite a bit. So hopefully if you've been with us long enough, you know the job of this is to stay steady because we want to work our hip. If I want to work my back, sure, this is a great exercise. I don't want to work my back for this. I'm attending a booty class. So for that to be the case, I can plant my knee that's going to stay planted for this exercise. If I move it closer to midline, that will be easier for me to hold my balance. I can also, if I'm a little bit worried I'm going to cheat, I can move it a little bit closer to my hands. That's going to put me in more lumbar flexion, which is going to make it very difficult for me to extend my low back at the same time in my hip. If I keep my center of mass right over the middle of the mat here, that's about as high as I can lift my hip before I start to arch and come up with my chest. So my chest and my pubic bone are staying curved, and then I'm lifting my back leg. Got it? If you're like, I can't be trusted, I know this, get all the way down, and then you can bend your back knee, and then all you're doing is this little tiny knee lift. And this one I love because you're gonna work this hip as well as this hip, okay? So you do you. For most people, we're gonna be on our hands and knees. You can challenge yourself, try to keep your knee underneath the hip. You can go more midline if you need to. I'm gonna have it a little bit farther back, same thing to make it a challenge for myself. If you know you can't be trusted, if I've told you you can't be trusted, move your knee up, okay? Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna do this little heel pump up towards the ceiling. Your main goal is to keep the same pressure pushed through your knee through the whole movement. Already, you should be feeling this in your hamstring and in your bum. Good, 3 more. One more. Swap legs. Okay, so same rules apply here. I'm not using momentum. I'm keeping the same pressure on that planted knee the whole time. I'm picking the appropriate placement of my knee for me and where I'm at to make sure that my low back does not move at all. If anything, it's staying in a rounded, bent position as the back of my thigh comes towards the ceiling. Good, shake it out. We're gonna step this up. I wasn't messing around, guys. This is gonna be a hard booty class, so I wanna make sure you got the basics down. Pop that band over you. We're gonna go onto our hands and knees here, and we're gonna do this weird little resisted frog position. So wrap that band around your legs, and you're going to rotate your feet out to the sides. It's okay if it doesn't move much. We're just warming up our back pocket muscles. Good, 2 more. Plant your knee wherever you need to, wherever we just talked about for accountability. Shimmy that band up towards the knee crease. A little bit lower than the knee crease, it'll travel everywhere. And then focus on pushing up to the ceiling, keeping tension in that planted knee the whole time. Round your low back if anything. Pull your rib cage down to your pubic bone and push that thigh up towards the ceiling. 3 more. Good, swap sides. So band will be just below your knee crease. Good, 3 more. Perfect. Shimmy the band back down. You're gonna get it around your foot, so it should be wrapped around your heel. Still planted on this back foot, so plant your toes so you can't push the band away. Just take a look at me if you don't know what I'm saying. This one's really important. Pull your knee up a little bit more than what you think, that stance knee. We're gonna be straightening our leg towards the back wall and pushing our heel out. So I really want you in a rounded position for this. If you need to drop down onto your forearms to really get into that rounded position, that's perfect. This should be all glute. 3 more. Perfect. Swap sides. Plant the one knee, shimmy it so it's around your heel. Straighten that leg. Keep your low back rounded. As soon as you start to arch, you'll take it out of your hip. Good, 2 more. Get into the other side again. Plant the one foot, straighten the other one. Good, hold that tension in your planted knee. Don't forget about that. Round your low back. Keep that tension in the band, so go slow and controlled. 2 more. Good, swap sides. As best you can. This is the trouble with bands. Okay, plant that one foot. Bring your knee up a little bit if you need to. Keep your hips rotated down towards the mat. Straighten that back leg. Keep tension in the band. Good, 3 more. Well done. Okay, shimmy that band down towards your ankles. This one I may not be able to demonstrate very well with my pubic bone, but for most of you, you're gonna be laying down just like this. You're gonna push out with your legs and then lift up. If you have low back pain, I almost don't even want you to attempt this one. You can attempt it if you put a bunch of pillows underneath your stomach, because you guessed it, the point is you're in a rounded low back position. So if you're like, I think this might be me, throw pillows under your stomach, and you're not gonna be lifting your legs at all. All you're gonna be doing is pushing your legs out against the resistance of the band, checking in with yourself, and making sure that you don't feel that at all through your low back. For everybody else who you're like, my low back's fine, you've never said anything to me, and if you're not my patient, obviously this doesn't apply to you, you're gonna push out and you're gonna lift up. So you'll notice that lift up is coming from the backs of my thighs, coming up towards the ceiling. As I lift up, I'm almost doing a little bit of a crunch just to make sure that I'm not arching my low back at all. Good, 2 more. Whew, rest there for a second. This feels fantastic on my C-section scar and my pubic bone, guys. All right, and here we go again. Push out, lift up, or if you're under the pillow or the pillows underneath your hips, you're just doing these little squeezes here. The hardest part of this is going to be trying to lift up without arching your low back. Good. 2 more. Perfect. Push up onto your hands and knees. You guys can try, keep the band for this, but I think it's gonna be too difficult. So if you go on your hands and knees, now what I want you to do is you're gonna be tapping your foot towards the back corner of the mat, keeping your hips where they are, and then lifting your foot out on a 45-degree angle. So it's gonna kind of float towards the outer edge of the mat and up. But same thing, we're not going up so far that we're no longer extending through the hip. And if you're not sure, here's your safety position. Down on your forearms, other knee planted up, because this should feel like it's all bum. If you're like, I can't tell what she's doing, I'll spin around this way just so you can see me. Foot taps down, come on up to the back corner, okay? On forearms, knee up so your back's flexed to keep you honest. Hold tension in that bottom leg the whole time. Think about your back pocket. That should be the muscle that's working the hardest right now. Good, swap sides. Keep in mind, guys, this is kind of still our warm-up. I know. Good. There's always one side that feels a little bit more difficult. For me, it's this side, which means I can't get it up as high. I care more about you guys kind of floating it towards the opposite back corner of the mat more than I do about how high it goes. Good. Okay, let's switch it up a little bit. We're gonna go into our bridge position. We're gonna focus on single leg bridge. I love this one because same thing, it forces you to be in that rounded low back position. So if I plant my foot and I think about rotating my hips and pushing them up this way, that's all hamstring and glute. I can't be arching. So you're making sure that the pressure in your shoulders is staying the same and that this whole movement is coming from your hips pushing up this way. Good, 2 more. Other side. So you might notice you don't go very far at all. That's completely fine. Watch what your bent knee's doing. A lot of people will start to anchor their hands and lift up, or they just push their knee back out into your hands. It should be in a relaxed, bent position. Push it out to the side if it feels pinchy through the front of your hip. The whole point is that my low back is flexed, so as I push my foot into the ground and lift my hip up, it has to be my hip extensors. Good, swap sides. We can do this one more time. Things are gonna escalate after this, so take a sip of water, pause the video if you need to. Make sure you're listening to my playlist because I worked hard on it. Not really, but good, 2 more. Other side. Good, 3 more. All right. What do we got left here? Oh, it's gonna be good. Okay. Slap that band back around your legs. We will make this harder. Actually, you know what? Yeah, you can put it around your feet. This will make it the hardest. You can have it as high up on your knees. Just pick the level that you need for effort. We're going to do our side-to-side step exercise. I'm taking very small steps, again, because of my pubic bone, but you guys are gonna travel the length of your mat. This is another exercise I frequently see done wrong, and it's because we wanna hold that same tripod position with our feet that we talk about with our squat. We should feel like we're about to do a squat. So even as you start a mini squat, all the tension should be in your legs. Check in with yourself that your low back isn't holding you upright. So if you need to completely relax your low back and do this kind of like a gorilla, here, can you see me? Then that's what I want you doing. So you can hold a ball, you can be totally flexed. It looks weird, but at least I know that if you do it, you are pushing out through the side of your hip. The other thing that people will do is they'll start to lift up and use momentum. You're holding yourself steady. So if people couldn't see my body, it would look like my head's just traveling in a straight line. So imagine a ceiling being really low, and I'm trying to kind of keep my head brushing it the whole time. So as you do this, I need to move the band up from my pubic bone, but you guys keep it around your feet. That's what gets you the highest middle of your glute activity. You can also do this with no band at all. I would say the main point of this is to feel it in your hamstrings, feel it right in your back pocket area. If you're feeling it a ton through the front, try relax and go a little bit slouchy. So do that, what has Mare called it? Scared dog position. Push out, keep tension in the band, keep your center of mass right over the middle of you, and you'll start to feel your legs working a lot harder. It's hard. I see a lot of people working out like complete animals, and it's not always that they get hurt. They don't always get hurt, but they don't get the effects that you want. So let's say they really want to work their bum, their hips. There's only so much you can do that if you're doing the exercise incorrectly. And I would say for most people with low back pain, they tend to have not the strongest hip extension. So they usually get told they got to get their lower body working. Good. Keep marching. We're going to come right back to the middle. Plant your band wherever you need to. Take a little bit of a step out. Focus on that tripod, screwing your feet into the ground. Rotate your knees out. So now I'm pushing into the band. Relax my low back. Right away, I should feel my legs working. Inhale, and push and come straight back up. So we're squatting here, but this should feel different after what we've done. Focus on your bum bones coming down towards your heels and then pushing them up towards the ceiling. Good. Standing back up to normal. Hold the stance leg. Hold on to something if you need to. So door frame, wall. And we're going to push our leg on a 45-degree angle back behind us. Same thing, my lower back should not be extending. If I need to be slouchy, that's totally fine. I'm going to lose my band because I can hear my pubic bone clunking around. Beautiful visual, I know. So to make that a little harder for myself, I'm going to be lifting my foot up in this position. But for most of you with the band, doing your toe touch down and back will be enough. Then you're going to go out to the side. And you'll notice the hardest work for this movement is the stance leg. So I'll go this way so you can see me. My low back's relaxed. I can send air to my lower back, send breath to my lower back. Create that space still. This is what's working hardest to hold me up. Good. Out to the side and back. Out to the side and back. Good. Shake it out. Swap sides. I'm curious. I'm going to try my band again. Nope. Good. Around that low back. Oh, I can't even lift on that side. Tap out, back behind you, 45-degree angle. Push out against the band. Unless your pubic joint is separated like mine. Good, and out to the side. Good, back out to the side. Well, 45-degree angle, I should say. Keep that stance knee exactly where it is. You're holding yourself completely solid on this planted side. Good. Shoot back out to the side. And we're going to swap out to the side, back in the 45-degree angle. It's going to start to burn now. Good. Stand up, shake it out. And other side. I'm ditching the band completely. Keep it on if you can. Hold your all your weight, all your center of mass over this midfoot. It shouldn't be shifting back and forth. Good, out to the side. Good, and back and out to the side. Ten more. Good, shake it out, and other side, one more time. 10 back on a 45-degree angle. Keep your weight centered over that planted foot. Don't wobble. Keep your low back relaxed. Inhale, send air to your lower back. Make sure it's staying sloppy. You can put your arms onto like a counter, a chair, whatever you need to encourage you to stay rounded. Good, out to the side. I always go past my playlists. Okay, 3 more. Good, and now we got 20 alternating between back 45-degree angles and out to the side. I know it burns. You're doing great. 10 more. Two more. Good job. Shake it out. You guys did great. Hopefully you're having fun. We'll see you next week.